I'm Zach Long, and welcome to the Launchpad. Today, on this film review podcast, I will be discussing the long-awaited Halloween Kills. This film was delayed 1 year thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic, and now that it's finally out and Halloween's over, I feel like it's a good opportunity to dig in and share my thoughts about the film. I saw some other reviews online with people discussing their thoughts, and it seems to be quite mixed. So I'm going to dig into the good, the bad, and the bloody, the latest installment in my favorite horror movie franchise. But be warned, this does contain minor spoilers. Halloween Kills picks up right where the last film, 2018 Halloween, finished, literally minutes after. Michael Myers is trapped in Laurie Strode's burning compound, while Laurie and her family are headed off to the hospital to nurse their wounds. Thanks to a helping hand from unaware firefighters, the house is being rescued from the flames, which opens the door for Michael to hack his way through several bodies before heading back into the unsuspecting streets of Haddonfield. When Laurie and her family first arrived at the hospital, I couldn't help but get a joyous flashback of the original 1981 sequel, Halloween 2, which, in my opinion, besides the stupid Laurie is Michael's long-lost sister angle, is the best sequel by far of the original franchise. That movie was about as good as a horror sequel can get, and if you haven't watched that one by now, totally should do so. Anyway, while Laurie is nursing her wounds post-surgery, her granddaughter is on a mission to join a group of locals who are dead set on hunting down Michael after word gets out that he was one of the two mental hospital escapees. News reporters are revealing to the public the massive body count that has been stacking up in Haddonfield, and this leads to some characters from the original 1978 classic to be dusted off and come along for the ride. Among them, we have a grown-up Lindsay Wallace and a determined and disgruntled Tommy Doyle, who were babysat by Laurie Strode on the night Michael first came home. Also, we have good old Sheriff Brackett back in the fold, which brought a big smile to my face. Mr. Brackett is no longer the sheriff, but is still in the police force, and has a bone left to pick with Mr. Myers after hacking up his precious daughter, Annie, 40 years prior. Marion Chambers also makes an awesome cameo, which will further give fans of the original a good injection of nostalgia. Now, I don't want to give too much away here, so I'm going to shift gears into more of my thoughts on the execution of what played out, rather than point-by-point plot analysis. Overall, some things that I enjoyed most were the touchstones towards the original series. Now, by this I don't mean just the original movie and characters that were brought back, but also the fact they included the silver shamrock masks from the mostly hated but loved by a few 1982 Halloween 3 Season of the Witch film. Little nuances like that really have won me over by reigniting the franchise in this way. It keeps a new telling of the series going, while also paying homage to the original series for longtime diehard fans. Also, the body count is probably the highest in any Halloween movie ever. I didn't count them all to tell for sure, but it truly felt like it was nearly double the amount of kills from any prior installments. I also really dug how they played on the idea of whether Michael is truly out and about again to get back at Laurie and his somewhat mysterious connection to her, or if it's about him coming home to the only place he's ever known before being institutionalized. I liked that dynamic a lot. Now, not everything about this movie is rosy. Some of the plot points I felt were more treading water than actually advancing the story, which made it seem like perhaps it was a little longer than it needed to be. And also, some of the more comical moments kind of fell flat for me and made it seem forced in a way in comparison to some of the lighter comical moments of the 2018 film. I think overall the casting was really good. It was nice to see the old characters return, and I think Anthony Michael Hall's performance as Tommy Doyle was one of the unsung moments that helped glue this whole thing together. Once Tommy finds out Michael's back, he promises Laurie that since she protected him as a child, he'll return the favor by any means necessary. His method for doing so isn't just to dumbly try and out-brute Michael Myers one-on-one, but instead to form a militia of sorts from the pissed-off locals who are tired of this maniac sullying up their beloved Halloween holiday. Now, the script I noticed had some weak spots. As mentioned, the plot drug in places, making it feel like it was more filling up time than actually earning its nearly 2-hour runtime. I thought there were probably 10 minutes solid of filler that really did not need to be included. And Jamie Lee Curtis's character was almost a secondary star this go around, which I was a little bummed about. The thing I was most critical of, outside of the filler material and the plot, was in the flashback sequence to the original 1978 movie. They had a really awful impersonation of the late great Donald Pleasance's voice as Dr. Loomis. They used CGI to pull off his look pretty well, and it's always great to see Loomis involved in some capacity to a Halloween film, but it sounded to me like they just pulled a random Joe off the street to do a quick English accent and recite a couple lines that they would have theorized he might say. I would have much preferred if they used recycled sound bites from the old flicks instead of having a low-rank impersonation. Also, I found the chanting of the angry mob to be annoying after a minute or two. Some of the militia Tommy Doyle assembles are dumb enough to bring a clothes iron as a weapon to use against Michael Myers. Yes, a fucking clothes iron. Overall though, I would definitely recommend this movie to fans of the original or lovers of the franchise in general. In regards to regular horror fans who do not have a major tie to the franchise, I think they may not feel as warm about it, since a lot of this movie revolves around nostalgia and tips of the cap to the fan base. In addition to that, I don't see this movie being any critic's darling, and could easily see some people cutting it down for its high body count, with the over-the-top, almost Kill Bill level absurd kills in some spots, and some of the lack of originality and weak moments like the damn clothes iron. But for folks like me, who have a real love and respect for the franchise and have asked nothing more over the years than to get a well thought out and well executed sequel, it's a must-see. There is a lot to love about this movie, and it will leave Halloween fans wanting more, while giving you just enough of blood, guts, and candy corn until next Halloween.